Conversation about the state of robotics with my guest Melonee Wise. She is CEO of Fetch Robotics. Melonee, welcome.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
With all the changes going on in your industry, especially with regard to AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, what the heck is going on in robotics right now?
Lots of things. It's an exciting place to be. We have a lot going on. I think that there's a lot of excitement and acceleration in the mobile robotics space. We're seeing a lot of new entrants into the space, taking new looks at how you can do it. There's a lot of challenges there with regards to safety, and I think the industry is starting to converge around how we view safety in the space. And so that's one thing to be mindful of when you're looking at this new technology. The other thing is that there's a lot of flexible picking that's using machine learning that's pretty exciting. And I think a lot of the basis for all of this excitement and the new things that we're starting to see comes out of a lot more people are throwing these things up into the cloud so that we can leverage all the data to really make these systems learning systems. And you're talking about machine learning, robotics, and I think that there's a lot of advantages there. And I think what you're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years when you look at these systems is you're left behind if you didn't start in the cloud, because you lost the opportunity of all the learning that can come from the data from these systems.
So you're making a strong connection between the cloud and the advancement of robotics, the hardware and the cloud software. You think that goes hand in hand?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You mentioned mobile robotics. I guess there's been a big push forward in recent years. We had the AGVs, the automated guided vehicles, but now we have the AMRs, the autonomous machine robots, which can do so much more. I mean, is there a big step forward in mobile robots today that you've seen over the last few years?
Yeah, I think the thing is the technology is kind of a spectrum, right? There's purely guided vehicles, which use tape or some other markers in the environment, to purely mobile, robots, which we're talking about today in AMRs. Is that they use just the sensing of the environment as their landmarks. And I think that there's a wide variety of areas in which these technologies are better suited for. So it's not because we have AMRs we don't need AGVs, and because we have AGVs we don't need AMRs. We need some spectrum in between. But if you really look at it, the reason AMRs are becoming so popular is the technology is there, it's working now, and the industry has needed the flexibility of AMRs for a long time. And so it's a perfect storm for why AMRs have become so popular.
How has the relationship between the human and the robot changed in recent years?
Yeah, so if you look at it in the last, 10 years, let's call it, the last 10 years, you've really seen a lot of concentration on collaboration between robots and humans. And I think that you're going to continue to see more and more of that because there's a lot of things that robots can do to assist people and to take the dull, dirty, and dangerous over so that these people can be made available to do higher skilled tasks and to do higher skilled jobs in general. And so when we look at it, robots are taking over the dull, dirty, dangerous tasks and really allowing people to do the safer, more meaningful tasks.
But there are indeed times when the human is working hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Collaborative robots, cobots, so that's still a big deal going forward?
Definitely. I think that if you look at collaborative robotics, I don't think it's going away anytime soon. And we're looking deeper and deeper in how to make that more engaging, more collaborative. Right now, I think we're at the very beginning stages of collaboration where each of us has our zones and our zones overlap just a little bit. But I think what you're going to see very soon is, robots and people doing things where the person is actually touching the robot or touching the work piece or whatever it is that the two are working on together at the same time.
Safety issues have been addressed, do you believe, adequately?
I think that we're still evolving the safety standards to allow these collaborations, but I think we're getting closer and closer to understanding how to implement this technology in a very safe and effective way.
So looking ahead in the next few years, how different might the landscape of robotics be from what it is today? What changes do you see coming down the pike?
Yeah, I think that's a really hard question to answer when you look at it, because robotics changes on the scale of decades. If you look at it, the technology that AMRs is implementing is algorithms that were developed in the early 2000s. So it takes 10 to 20 years for that technology to mature and to go into practical application. And so if you look at the kind of technology that we've been focused on in the mid 2010, 2015 range, a lot of it is learning systems. A lot of it is really centered around hierarchical autonomy. So person kind of in the loop, but helping the robots when they get stuck. And so I think that's what you're going to see in the next 10, 15 years is more learning systems, more people semi in the loop when the robot gets stuck. So robots doing very complicated tasks, most of the time autonomously, like 99% of the time, but there's going to be this 1% where people step in, and that's all enabled by the cloud and having these systems that learn and detect when they need help and asking for help.
For companies that are looking at the value of AMR specifically, what do you say to them if they're on the fence about making an investment right now?
Yeah, I think that if you're looking at AMR technology and trying to decide whether it's right for you, the fastest thing to do is to go talk to an AMR provider and get an ROI calculation, because it's a pretty numbers first kind of calculation that can really start the conversation whether the technology is practical for you. And almost every AMR provider is more than eager to help you compute the ROI for your application.
But you believe, as you say, that companies that aren't moving now, at least in the direction of robotics and automation, are going to be caught out in years ahead because they didn't act now.
Yes, I definitely believe that.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting insights into the world of robotics. Always great to catch up with you, Melonee. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I've been speaking with Melonee Wise of Fetch Robotics. Thank you very much for watching.